Now, we live every day with the assumptions that most of our thoughts are true. And the only time we allow for modification of those thoughts is when the topic is very complicated. Now, apart from that, we quite naturally feel that our beliefs about things in our day-to-day life are true. Now, when you were young, you were open to new thoughts and ideas. Most people were. You learned everything you could from your parents, from TV, from movies, from music, friends at school, books, and other sources. Now, as you get older, you begin to filter these thoughts out till you've created a stable framework of thoughts around certain things in life. And you need this to function as an adult. And these thoughts become the mental model of your world. So you have these mental models around issues like sexuality, relationships, spirituality, religion, finances, lots of other things in life. And whether these are right or wrong is often not addressed because these beliefs and mental models, they make life less complicated for you. But here's the question. What if some of these beliefs were wrong? Of course, as human beings, all our beliefs can't be true or accurate. In fact, some of the beliefs that we've accumulated over the years might be wrong, they might be damaging to us, and might even cause harm to not just ourselves, but to others. For instance, when you tell yourself, man, I always fail at my goals. Now, that observation is usually made in the present based on your feelings at that moment. Now, obviously, you've achieved many things in your life to actually come as far as to be watching this video. And you say this to yourself, however, because this is how you've trained yourself to view yourself. Like, we don't take the time to objectively look at our lives and find other instances where we achieve our goals. And because of that, we start acting like people who fail at our goals all the time. Eventually, we stop trying to change our lives. Like, what's the point? Now, that's a more simple example. When it comes to sexual matters, things can get damaging very quickly. Here's an example which I hear a lot from men that I mentor. Many men have this habit of assuming that when an attractive woman is friendly towards them, that means she's attracted to them and she wants to have sex. And this is very common in men who struggle with porn or sex addictions. For instance, waitresses are always getting numbers left on their table, mainly because men mistake their friendliness for attraction. And if a female coworker, helps you with a task at work, because she's a nice and friendly person, but all you can think of is what she looks like naked, then you're putting yourself in a precarious situation. Let's talk a little bit about thinking errors. Men who struggle with porn, sex, and masturbation addiction struggle a lot with what is called thinking errors. Now, thankfully, many of these thinking errors were learned, so we can easily unlearn them. I'm going to share a few common thinking errors with you today. The first is entitlement. Now, this is a mindset where you believe that someone owes you something. An example is a husband or boyfriend who believes that his wife or girlfriend should give him oral sex or anal sex. So when your wife or girlfriend, who's willing to do everything else, doesn't do that, you get angry and then you watch porn which has anal sex in it, or you go looking for someone else who can provide that for you, maybe an escort or maybe another woman, depending on what level of your porn addiction you're at. The second is black and white thinking. Now, this mindset involves looking at situations in extremes. Now, because of constant exposure to porn, many men believe that women are either promiscuous sluts or they're good girls who should be married. And there's rarely anything in the middle, and that's an example of black and white thinking. The third is jumping to conclusions. Now, this happens when you make decisions without enough information. So you don't ask any questions. An example is, let's say if you're a man who is a minority, maybe an Asian man or a black man, assuming that white women will not date them because of their race, or a man with a below average penis size concluding that he will never be able to satisfy a woman sexually. Now, in both cases, these men came to these conclusions without trying to find out if they're actually women who are attracted to them because of what they perceive as a shortcoming. And the funny thing is, there are women like that. The next is victim identity. And this thinking error occurs when you choose to put the blame on something else instead of taking responsibility for your life. So let's say that you're addicted to porn and masturbation, but instead of working on your recovery from this, you blame women who dress in sexy outfits. You blame the media, which you feel is sexualizing everything, and they are. You blame porn, but you never put the blame on yourself. The fifth is overgeneralizing. This happens when you make a false assumption about something based on one past experience. Now, when you do this, you never allow for any new experience to be different. So for example, let's say you've worked with someone to help you quit porn, or you enrolled in some course online, but it didn't work for you. Now you believe that no course or no professional exists that can help you to quit porn because when you tried it once in the past, it didn't work. That is a thinking error of overgeneralizing. The sixth is emotional reasoning. Now, this is when you feel strongly about something, so whatever action you take is justified. For example, let's say you're in a relationship and you get the number of a random woman whom you find attractive and she never texts you back, but you're in a committed relationship. You then get angry at your girlfriend or your wife, believing that they did something to piss you off, when in reality, you're just upset that this other woman flaked on you. The seventh is catastrophizing and minimizing. This is actually one of my favorites to work with clients. And this happens when you make important issues insignificant and you make small issues a huge deal. For instance, let's say you've just had sex with your partner and you're all laying there and then you're all talking and you find out that her ex-boyfriend had a bigger penis than you. So you spend the rest of the evening wondering if you've been truly satisfying her all these months. You start to doubt your sexual capability and you start worrying that she'll leave you for a man with a bigger dick. Okay, next thing you know, you're watching some cuckold porn, you're fantasizing to your partner having sex with other men who have larger penises than you. On the other hand, minimizing happens when something big is happening in your life, but you don't think it's a big deal. So for instance, let's say you find yourself tired, unmotivated, and fatigued every day because you masturbate several times during the day. And you tell yourself that it's not a big deal because everyone does it, and you still get work done. When in reality, that fatigue and lack of motivation has stunted your potential for the last few years. Now, I know plenty of men who could have built massively successful careers and businesses of their dreams. I know men who could have been in these amazing relationships with their dream partners, but they have masturbated that opportunity away. They have never given themselves more than 3 months without porn in their life, so they're never going to know. The eighth is justification. This happens when you come up with an excuse to defend your behavior that you shouldn't be engaging in. So let's say you're trying to quit porn and masturbation, but you masturbate 2 times in one night. And then you tell yourself before you go to bed, it was like, you know what? It's because I couldn't sleep. I was exhausted. Nothing puts me to sleep, so masturbation helped. That's an example of that thinking error. Should beliefs. Now, this thinking error occurs when we decide how a situation should go without accepting reality. Okay, so for instance, if you live in the United States and you get married, believing that your wife should stay with you for better or worse and be faithful because you believe that that's how marriage should work. But the reality is that 50% of all marriages end in divorce and 70% of divorces are initiated by the woman. So let's say you don't pay attention to these statistics and you find out a way to make your marriage successful in today's society, but you still end up divorced, broke, depressed, and really bitter down the line. Well, you're bitter because you believe that she should have powered through and stayed in the relationship, and it should have worked because that's what society said. So right off the top of my head, those are a few thinking errors faced by porn addicts. I do have an exercise which I'd like you to complete to help identify some of your common thinking errors. And in this exercise, I'm going to share a few statements, and for each of them, I'd like you to identify what the thinking error for that statement is. And feel free to share it in the comment section. The first one is, I deserve to relax this evening. Okay? I deserve to relax this evening. The second is, if my wife finds out about my sex addiction and the women I've been having sex with outside of my marriage, I'll have to kill myself. The third is, she hasn't said it, but I know she thinks I'm unattractive, or I know she thinks I'm ugly. The fourth is, why do these things always happen to me? Why me? The fifth is, I'm horny and I'm really sexually frustrated. I have to have sex right now. Now share the number 1 through 5 in the comment section, and then next to it put the corresponding thinking error. And feel free to share some of your thinking errors that you have, because I'd love to hear about them. Guys, I'm JK, your brother in this struggle, and I wish you all the best in your recovery from your porn addiction. Now, this YouTube channel grows organically through men sharing my videos with other men. There are no ads, there's nothing done. I just shoot the videos, you guys share it. That's how it grows. So please subscribe, and more importantly, share these videos if you find them helpful with other men. The more people subscribe, the more videos I'll be able to make, and the more questions I'll be able to answer as I help more and more men quit their porn addiction. Have a great day.